And the thing that I like about Rejuvalac that's so wonderful is it has a lot of the beneficial bacteria in it for your intestines, and as it goes through your digestive system, it's just really, really healthy for keeping that balance that you need, through your stomach into your intestines. And it's very easy to make. It's a lot less expensive than probiotics or something else that we might take. To start, what you do is you take a grain, and I like to use the soft white wheat berries because they're very smooth. What I have here is, Lisa told me people really like the rye berries, so I'm just going to put a couple rye berries out so you can just see what they look like. So what you do is you take wheat berries, rye berries, or whatever you choose, and I take 2 cups and I put them in actually a quart jar. This is a little bit bigger. I think this is a ½ gallon. And you fill it up with water, and that's what I did right here. And I soaked this from overnight. And then so today what I would do is just drain it off. And then a couple times today and tomorrow and the next day I would put more water in it, just refill it several times to rinse the berries. Now I rinsed them initially, and then I left the water in the second time and let them soak. And this is a really nice container that Lisa has here because it has a screen top. The ones that I bought actually were plastic on the top too, and but this one has a screen and it's really nice. And I just kind of swish it around just to clean the berries and rinse them, because once you start to let them sprout, they could start to smell or ferment a little, and you do want them to ferment, but not that quickly. And it can't be too moist, otherwise, like you can't have it sitting in water, otherwise you wouldn't have the little sprouts come so easily. So this one here is in the process of sprouting, and I don't really see any little tails on this one yet. Do you see any there, Margaret?
No.
Can you use tap water with chlorine, or do you need to use water without chlorine?
Well, I actually have this little pitcher that I energize water in at home, so I use filtered energized water, in them, and especially for the last stage. So I'm just going to move along to this little bit here, and these actually already have the tails on them, and Lisa had started this, and this has already started fermenting. And so I want to pour this off to have you sample. Normally what I would do is when they start to have the tails like this, and I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway, but I'm going to save what's in here. I think I can just pour it right into here, because this is the other Rejuvalac, rye Rejuvalac that has been done. So I'm going to save this because this is the good part to drink here.
How long should the tails be when you do that?
Oh, just when they start to form. I've done it anywhere up to like 1/4 of an inch. And just so you know that they're sprouting. And then what you do is you take this and you pour it in like a Vitamixer or a blender. And what you're going to do, I'll put in some good energized water here so I can clean this a little. Let's see. I'll have to just shake it up a little, get it off the sides. Let me do it over here so in case it spills a little bit. I want to get all the berries because they're so good for you. Okay, and so what I do is I add a little water to this. And so normally you wouldn't have the fermenting started that you already saw in there. And you cover it with water. I'm going to add a little bit more, just enough to grind up the berries. And what you'd like to do is to break them up just so they can start the fermenting process a little faster. And what I'm showing you today is actually in the book Body Ecology. Okay, now this doesn't have little stoppers, so I'm going to use this so it doesn't fly out. And all I do is just turn it on and blend it for 10 seconds just to break them up. And that's all. And then normally you'd have a slightly larger container. This is probably about a ½ gallon, but I put it in a gallon of glass bottle, and you just pour it in there. And this is great because we're going to be getting a second batch out of this. We might even be able to use it sooner than normal. Okay, so pretend this is a larger container, like a gallon container. Here's the start of it. And you would want to use energized water or just good quality water without chlorine. If you only have tap water, I would sit it out on the counter for at least a half hour, maybe a half a day ahead, and then use it when most of the chlorine's dissipated. Okay, so again, visualize this as a bigger container, and we're filling the top with good quality water. The berries have been broken apart, and we're improvising again. We don't have cheesecloth right here, but pretend this is cheesecloth, and you put this on and then a rubber band around the top, and then you just wait 3 to 5 days. It can just stay out on the counter somewhere fairly warm. If it's the summer, it might take, you know, just a couple of days, maybe 3 days. If it's cooler in the house, it might take 5 days. But what you do is you wait till it smells a little bit like lemonade. It starts to smell a little bit sour. And that's what you want, is it to be a little fermented, because then it has the bacterias and the natural things in it that are good for you. But let me just smell this and see. Now this one has already started fermenting, like I said, because Lisa had started this a little bit ahead. So I can pass this around and you can go ahead and smell it if you'd like, just to see what it's like. But that's basically how you make Rejuvalac. Are there any questions?
So when you do the blending, it's when they've just barely started sprouting?
Yes, yes. You want to just break apart the seeds just to get this fermenting process to move along a little faster. Does that make sense? So what we have here is some Rejuvalac and some little cups. And if you haven't had Rejuvalac before, I mean, this is such a small amount, it shouldn't affect you negatively in any way. But if your stomach's not used to it, it could be a little bit intense, and you could get really bubbly, or it could feel like too much. But basically, you could drink a quart a day, actually, easily. And when I make a gallon, oh, I should say, when you have it in that container and sitting for 3 to 5 days, you want to pour it off in 3 or 5 days. You want to strain it and save only the juice and throw away the other. Or, you know, I haven't really tried redoing it. We'll know tomorrow how the second batch will go. But, okay, thank you. But what you want to do is you want to strain this and keep the clear liquid like this. And then what I do is I take like quart jars, the wide mouth jars, and then I'll just put a strainer in the top, pour this in there, save the liquid, put the top on it, and put it in the fridge. And then over the week, you know, just drink it. And especially before your meal. Okay? Or not a lot before your meal, but let's try this. And I'm going to just taste it first to make sure it's okay for all of you.
This is entirely rice.
This is the rye. This is not wheat berry. This will have a different flavor. The soft white wheat berry is a little bit more milder and gentler, I have a feeling. And you can do the hard winter wheat. You could do. It tastes different. Each wheat berry or rye or whatever berry you use will taste a little different. So.
Mad kitchen science.
That's Rejuvalac.
You
It's
need a
really
pair
good.
of goggles and a helmet.
Kamut would be good. I haven't tried kamut. But I'll just go ahead and fill these little glasses, and if you'd like some. And then also when you're doing this and pouring it, you'll get a little residue, kind of like a milky substance on the bottom, and that's good for you too. It's
Does this work as cleaning the digestive system?
yeah. I don't know if it cleans as much as it restores, gives you the good bacteria that your body needs. So in a way, it probably would. I haven't thought of it like that, but yeah, that's possible. And if you'd like to read more about it, this recipe that I use is from the book Body Ecology.